Once again, I'm requesting the Eagles organization, Jeffrey Lurie, head coach Nick Sirianni, and our GM, Howie Roseman, please get Frank Reich back in Philly and get rid of Brian Johnson.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Coconut Curry Podcast, a podcast where betting my parlay should be officially declared a felony. If you're new around here, we are 3 college students. 2 of us are on right now who go to the University of Pittsburgh, and we just chat about sports and hopefully offer a fresh new perspective on things. We also talk about our personal lives sometimes. We're going into our senior year, so hopefully we'll have some fun last semester stories for you coming up here. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps us out a lot if you're new around here and whatnot. I also hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. I did, and I'm excited going into the new year. I don't know if Raj, you did anything for Christmas or New Year's do anything?
For Christmas, I had like a family thing. We were at my cousin's place, like just distant relative, whatever. Yeah, my uncles like to heavy pour Black Label into my cup, so that was fun.
Didn't that happen during Thanksgiving too?
Yeah.
Okay, it's just a holiday. Just a holiday thing.
Yeah, we did a white elephant. I got pickleball paddles.
Okay, pickleball paddles is solid. Do you play pickleball?
Loosely.
You're gonna have to start playing pickleball.
Yeah.
Well, there's like all these pickleball gyms like popping up across the country. The pickleball love is insane, but I've watched some of the competitive matches and people just like stand still and just hit the ball.
Yeah, I mean,
it looks a little boring.
I feel pretty confident in my pickleball skills. I've played before, like my tennis.
Oh, you're him.
I played tennis before. It's not that difficult. As soon as you learn how to just hit the ball right, it's super easy.
That's fair. I don't get the rules, but it is fun. It's better than playing tennis because I feel like there's a bigger skill gap to tennis. Like
a lot.
If you can't return serves in tennis, you're toast. Which is if you don't have any skill. Like if you actually play against someone who knows how to play tennis, then you're cooked.
Yep.
But like we said, we're missing one person today. That's Peter, and we're gonna hop right into it with a start of our new segment called Disgruntled Moment of the Week. On this segment, we're going to be saying a new story, whether that's in our personal lives or whether that's in the sports world, which is what we talk about a lot. So, Raj, would you like to announce the Disgruntled Moment of the Week as that is fitting for you?
Yeah, so I had this really nice parlay for the Eagles game. It was Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown, Jake Elliott to make 2 field goals, and a Boston Scott anytime touchdown. And Boston Scott is known as the Giant Killer. It was $10 to make 167. And you know what leg didn't hit because Brian Johnson does not know how to call plays right? The Boston Scott anytime touchdown. And Boston Scott has scored in every single game against the Giants that he has played in. Thank you, Brian Johnson, for ruining his streak. I hate you.
What I think is crazy is Boston Scott got a total of 1-2 carries. Like it wasn't as if I'm gonna look up the game now.
He had 2 carries total.
Yeah, it's not like that's. I feel it's a little bit ridiculous for a guy who's consistently played well against them. I know he's got a limited role on the team, but he had 1 carry for 3 yards. Official.
Whoa. Yeah.
Great. It's just shocking to see him get so little run, and he has 11 career touchdowns in 9 games versus the Giants, which is just bananas. But that is the disgruntled moment of the week. My disgruntled moment of the week goes out to Sean Payton, who we heard today is now benching Russell Wilson for the season, because I think, and we've talked numerous hours talking about Sean Payton on this podcast, but I've gone up and down with him. I gave him a lot of credit. I gave him a lot of hate during the whole Nathaniel Hackett thing. I gave him a lot of love when the Broncos ended up being 7-7 at one point, despite a 1-5 start. I gave him a lot of hate when they lost by 50 to the Dolphins, but I am giving him hate one last time this season because I think not playing Russell Wilson in the last couple of games is a horrible look. I understand the financial component of it, that Russell Wilson getting injured would be $37 million guaranteed that you'd have to give him for injury fee, and your goal is to cut him. I get it. But Sean Payton took the job with the Denver Broncos knowing that Russell Wilson was going to be his quarterback for the year no matter what. And to just bench him during the last 2 games where I'm not sure they're mathematically eliminated to make the playoffs. I'm pretty sure they're in. Now, it's not likely they're going to make it, but to just kind of give up on the season feels a little bit soft to me. I don't know what, Raj, your thoughts are on the Russell Wilson benching.
I mean, it seems like a financial thing. I'm trying to see their elimination thing. Let's see. So what they need to do is they haven't been officially. They have a 4% chance. They're basically eliminated. So, yeah, I mean, it's just like, I mean, I know the financial component, but just let the man play. What team's gonna sign him? He might be just a backup soon. Who knows? But yeah,
Okay, so the Broncos win, they have a 12% chance, and they're playing the Chargers. And if they lose, they have a less than 1% chance, and they have currently a 7% chance. Is what the NFL thing says. Some things would have to go their way, but I just personally, do not see the value in being like Russell Wilson has really not gotten hurt that much in his career. Let the man go out there, and if he gets hurt, figure it out. Then I just think it's a bad look for the team, especially a team that again everyone started saying, "Oh, playoff contender" when they got to 7-7, and now it's like, "Oh, here we go again." With that, that's not to say Russell Wilson hasn't been bad this year. Russell Wilson's been a bad quarterback for 2 years now, a little bit before that as well. And I don't know what team is going to sign him going forward. Obviously, he's going to be cut off the Broncos, and then he's going to end up going to a different team. But I don't know what team's in the market for a quarterback like him. I know obviously he'll be on a cheaper deal at that point, but like, what do? You like look at some of these bottom feeder teams who have been eliminated. Patriots, Panthers, Chargers, Cardinals, Titans, Commanders, Jets, and Giants. I don't see any team there who's like Russell Wilson's going to fix our quarterback room. Like, are the Titans going to substitute Russell Wilson for Will Levis? They're not going to do that. Um, Cardinals don't have a quarterback, but are they? I don't think they like Kyler Murray any less than they like Russell Wilson. So I just think Russell Wilson's going to be in a very strange spot going forward. I don't know what team is going to go for him. Do you have any teams in mind for Russ?
yeah, retirement. I think it's time,
Honestly,
dude. He's been in the league forever.
I think probably he should just go into a back. Well, okay, a spot for him could be the Falcons because they won't have a high enough draft pick and they can improve their quarterback room. But again, I don't know if they'll do that, but it is a chance there. And then otherwise, I think he should try to find his way into a contender team backup role and not hope someone gets injured, but hope someone gets injured, like, oh, hey, 49ers, you need a backup quarterback
They already have
for
Sam
Brock.
Darnold.
Oh, they do.
I think,
Okay, Lions, do you need a backup quarterback for Jared Goff
dare I say,
in
he goes
case?
back to the Seahawks.
No, there's no chance.
That'd be crazy.
That would be, I mean, that was just a 0% chance that happens. But anyway, that's the disgruntled moments of the week. Raj is betting, and well, actually, we can also say I'm disgruntled for my betting record. This last week on the pod, I'm gonna admit it. I'm a man. I'm gonna admit my mistakes. Last week on the podcast, I gave you a great at the time parlay of the Texans money line, the Cowboys money line, and teased this 49ers to 7.5 points on Christmas night football. And I'm happy, and I'm not happy to report that I went 0-3. I wasn't close. The Texans got
I told
steamrolled.
you I was gonna fade your entire lay, and it all hit.
You
It
would
got
have
all
you would have
faded.
cashed.
I wish I
The
remembered
Texans,
to lay it.
the Titans, not Texans. The Texans got steamrolled. Now I thought Stroud was going to play that game, but they still got steamrolled. The Cowboys didn't get steamrolled, but they just straight up lost the game. And then the teasing in 7.5, I was just on the wrong side of the tee. It wasn't like the 49ers won by 5 and I can say, a couple of points. The 49ers straight up lost by 14 points. And I had bet them. I was 21 points off the line. So it's a brutal beat. Like I said, if in the beginning podcast, if you bet any of my parlays going forward, you should be
Dog,
charged for
that ain't
felony.
a
You should go
brutal
to
beat. You're just wrong.
yeah, there's just no brutal beat. It's not like you can. There's no positives look from the situation. Just flat out wrong.
Yep.
But you're not here to hear about Raj and I's poor betting history. You're here to hear about our takes on NFL games. So it was a weird slate of games this week. We had the Thursday game, of course. We had 3 Saturday games, a bunch of Sunday games, and then 3 Monday games. So I felt like there's a lot of football spread across those days, and even that Thursday night football game, which mattered a lot, feels like so long ago. Recording on a Wednesday today. But huge placements. Now we've kind of got a really good picture at where our playoffs are going to be just for going through here. 49ers, if you look at clinched, there's 2 teams in the AFC who have clinched, the Ravens, Dolphins. There's 4 teams in the NFC who have clinched in the 49ers, Eagles, Lions, and Cowboys. And then if you kind of look forward, the Buccaneers holding that NFC South spot, 86% chance to make the playoffs. Rams wild card 66, Seahawks 68%. Going over to AFC, Chiefs 95% chance to make the playoffs, Jags 67, Browns 99, Bills 88, Colts 52. We're kind of holding some space for that Colts, Texans, Bengals mishmash there, but really we've kind of got our teams locked in, but a lot of that happened as a result of this week. So let's hop right into it with our big games. And on Christmas night, we had a lot of talk between the 49ers being the team to beat. People kind of didn't believe in the Ravens, and the Ravens walked into Levi Stadium against the 49ers, primetime Christmas night, and just straight up beat them 33-19 as Purdy throws 4 interceptions in that game. Raj, give us your take on the Ravens beatdown of the 49ers.
I wish I had a lighter so I can do the little lighter flick because we're smoking on that Niners pack. Just we've been saying this for so long. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, Brock Purdy should be MVP." No, if you look at how he throws the ball, you see that all he does is throw checkdowns. And crazy what happens when Debo doesn't take it for 80 yards to the crib or something, like, or you have CMC just go off. Like Purdy should not have been like that favorited of an MVP first off, and I was so happy to see his odds go from -200 to +660 in the matter of 38 minutes
Well,
and 12 seconds.
and what you're describing is exactly what an MVP doesn't look like, because the 49ers still have the best chance to get the number 1 seed in the NFC. And they're only 1 game back of the Ravens, and his odds dropped so much, not because of his performance that day. It's because no one actually believed he should be the MVP.
Yep.
It's because this one game completely changes how we look at him. He's not like he just had a bad game and we're looking past it, because I don't really think anybody actually thought he should have been the MVP. We were just all kind of like, well, who else do we give it to? And now you watch the guy have a horrible game, and 4 interceptions. A couple of those were bad decisions, fluky outcomes. He threw the ball once that got batted down, but it got batted up in the air, and some guy came down with it. Like, that's a little bit unfortunate. Like, you shouldn't have thrown it into the guy's hands. Like, that's on you as a quarterback, but also got caught there. In situations like that. But 4 interceptions is horrible. It's the reason you lose the game. The 49ers had a total of 5 turnovers, I believe, that game. The Ravens had 0. That's your difference in 14 points. Purdy threw an interception in the red zone. That's 7 points if you turn that into there. We're talking about that being 33-26 football game and it being tight. So this definitely moves Lamar into the MVP frontrunner spot. We've talked about it. Nothing exciting happening from Lamar Jackson this season, but he's put himself in a position where he's playing good quarterback, and you play good quarterback and you have the best record in the league, you're going to win the MVP award. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on Lamar picking up that award?
I mean, we all have the same take. It shouldn't go to a QB this season. It should go to CMC or Tyreek. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Lamar. I would call this a very Mickey Mouse MVP award this season for him. It's not like he did anything amazing, but I mean, best record on the best team currently. Got to give it to him.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was the game, right? Like, okay, we don't really believe in the Ravens. He comes in, has a great game against the 49ers, and now they have the best overall record in the league. I still think he has some work to go. They play Miami this week. That's a big game. If they lose that game, and then I still think Josh Allen is very alive for this award. And I do have a financial stake in Josh Allen winning this award, but also I do think if the Ravens lose to Miami, well, okay. The problem is with Josh Allen winning the MVP award, they're going to need the Ravens to win that game. But I do think if the Ravens kind of drop a game, Lamar doesn't really play well the last couple games, and you watch Josh Allen have a good couple games to get into that division lead spot, because the Bills are very live to finish as the 2nd seed to in the entire conference. There's a very real world in which the Dolphins lose to the Ravens and they lose to the Bills in the final week of the season. The Bills win out, and they're looking at the 2nd best record in the league, like in the AFC, which is a crazy statement to say. But if they get there, I think it'll be on the backs of Josh Allen, and he should be live for the award. But Lamar deserves it. 3 losses this year. They've had a decently. I think they've had a hard schedule. And he's just in a year where it's not been a good pool of people going for the award. Sometimes just not making mistakes is that, and Brock Purdy literally threw his MVP award away.
Yeah, you literally did.
no ifs, and or buts around it. I think even if he had 0 interceptions, just played mediocre quarterback, he kind of still stays in on as the favorite. But just through 4 of those things, cost him the game.
You can
Sam
love to see
Sam
it.
Darnold, and I think it was a tough look. Sam Darnold comes in just so Purdy doesn't get hurt, and Sam Darnold moved the ball well
Yeah.
on that Ravens defense. So I don't know if the Ravens could have kind of given up, but also seeing Sam Darnold go in there and do as well or better than Purdy, I was like, it's not a good look.
Uh-oh.
Big shout out to Kyle Hamilton. He called his shot before the game saying, like, I don't understand why the 49ers are being talked like they're them and we're not. And he called a shot. He didn't miss. He had 2 interceptions in that game. So shout out to the Ravens. I did not believe in them. I said I would believe in them if they won this game. I do officially believe in the Ravens. They should be the odds favorites to win the AFC. I think they will win the AFC with that performance, but overall great. But a team that's going to have to compete with the Ravens for next week is the Dolphins, who have a really important matchup. They beat the Cowboys on Christmas Eve, 22-20. A weird game, not something you would expect to see from the Cowboys and Dolphins, being a 22-20 game. Wasn't really a lot of flashy plays going down, but the Cowboys, they don't beat the allegations. They're
They never
3 and
do.
3-4 on the 3-5 on the road this season. That's where all their losses have come. Just another poor showing. Like we talked about last episode, how the Dolphins had this. They need to beat teams above 500. The Cowboys need to beat teams on the road. The Dolphins did what they needed to do. The Cowboys didn't. And for the Cowboys, they're locked into that 5 seed essentially at this point. They're going to have to hope that the Eagles lose 2 games. They're going to have to hope they lose the Cardinals game and the Giants game, which I can promise you is just not going to happen. So the Cowboys are locked into the 5 seed, which means they're going to have to play on the road at the first game, which could be the Buccaneers, who look decent. And they're going to have to play on the road at like the 49ers, which is just, they're not winning that game. And then even if they do that, they're going to have to play either at Philly or at Detroit. Maybe they get lucky if like the Rams sneak through or something like that, but they're not winning 3 road games to get to the Super Bowl. Like you simply can't be 3-5 on the road and get there.
Yeah, no, they're not. I mean, also with their matchup on Monday, I think the Lions are going to win that game.
I think there's a real possibility for that. The Lions, I think people
curse. All the underdogs have won 8 weeks in a row, so
they have, and I think a team like the Lions might actually be more impassioned with their recent performance against the Vikings, where like they've got this momentum of making the playoffs for the first time in a really long time, and then they just kind of walk into Dallas and just get the win. So the Cowboys are kind of playing for nothing. They're really locked into that 5 seed there. The Lions are very live to beat the 49ers. I know the 49ers are playing Washington. They're probably not going to lose that game. Eagles have some easy matchups, but the Lions catch either of those teams lacking, we're going to be looking at a situation where the Lions are the number 1 seed. So Lions got a big game going against Cowboys. I don't think anybody particularly played bad in the Dolphins-Cowboys game. It's just a situation where they weren't able to get the job done. Dak Prescott, 20 of 32 for 253, 2 touchdowns. They're not running the ball, though. I remember Mike McCarthy kind of came in this year being the head play caller after getting rid of Kellen Moore. It's like, Tony Pollard, we're going to run with him. And everyone was like, oh, pick him up in fantasy. Like, this is big. Like, running back 12 carries for 38 yards. Like, they're unable to get the running game going. Tua, 20 for 37, 293, 1 touchdown. It's kind of funny that Tua really isn't in the conversation for MVP at all, because his team is tied for the second best record in the league, and he's been playing some good quarterback this year. That's kind of how it is. CeeDee Lamb knows a dog. He has quickly risen into that category of like top receiver, and if I'm him, I gotta just be extremely frustrated with how this team has been performing on the road in these marquee matchups. I think
CD
for
heard
the
me during the offseason when I kept saying he'd be a wide receiver 2 on any other team.
I think he heard you too. Very clear that he's a wide receiver 1. But do you see the Dolphins going anywhere in terms of this season? Like they're 11-4. I don't know if they're going to hold on to the 2 seed, but they're locked into the playoffs. Do they make any noise, or do they kind of on the outskirts? I'm still not really sure I trust them. Like, sure, they beat a team over 500, but it was the fraudulent road Cowboys. Like, I don't really know what I take away from that game.
I mean, for me, like I've been saying this. I don't know what's gonna happen in the playoffs. I can't make any predictions. I can't even see any team can make a splash at this point, which is why I'm just gonna wait and see what happens.
Yeah. The playoff prediction episode is gonna go crazy.
Hmm.
With what we got going on, but big win there for the Dolphins. Good for them for picking that up and beating the allegations slightly. Cowboys are gonna have to work a little bit harder to beat those allegations, but for them, it's pretty much gonna be like beating the playoff allegations in the beating the road allegations in the playoffs, which is not gonna be an easy look for them. In the last big game I wanted to start with was it actually wasn't a good game to watch, but I felt like it had a lot of ripples throughout the league. The Raiders on Christmas take down the Chiefs 20-14, despite not completing a pass in quarters 2, 3, or 4. Patrick Mahomes throws a pick six and fumbles the ball for fumble six or whatever they call it. And then that pretty much that's 14 points right there. The Raiders offense scores 2 field goals, and we got ourselves a game right there. Just an absolute brutal loss for the Chiefs. I can't imagine that has got to be one of the most embarrassing moments in recent memory for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I was watching that game and I'm sitting there like, no way am I watching this right now. It's a Chiefs downfall. Like they were at home too. I don't know what was wrong with them. Like Mahomes was making some dumb decisions. I think they were getting a little too cute with their play calling with that little like direct snap to Pacheco and handing off to Mahomes. Like I don't know what's going on with them. They could barely beat the Raiders, and then their defense got steamrolled by some backup running back. That also
Yeah,
means Josh Jacobs is out of a job.
yeah. Um, I'm less concerned about their defense because their defense let up 6 points this entire game, and yeah, it didn't look great at the end of the game when they were able to go down and kind of ice the game, but also like their defense had let up 3 points the entire day, 6 points the entire day to that point. The Chiefs offense needs to figure it out. They're running that cute stuff, I think, because they are concerned that they're not able to generate offense effectively any other way. That's super concerning that you're not able to generate offense in other ways. You're the Kansas City Chiefs. You have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. Like figure it out. Like there's no reason not to. Patrick Mahomes deserves a lot of the blame. I think he's the best quarterback in the league, and I'm not going to take that away from him. But he threw that horrible pick six right after the fumble, which I don't know who the fumble was on, whose fault that was, but just something that absolutely cannot happen. And the Chiefs got a lot of calls to answer now. A lot of people don't believe in them. They're at Cincinnati. Well, they're playing Cincinnati. I don't know if they're home or away, but they have to play Cincinnati. That's going to be a huge game. The Bengals are fighting for their playoff lives. They're gonna if they're on the road. I don't know if they are. I should probably look that up. We will look that up real quick. They are. They're at home. Okay, so they're going to need to prove at home that they can win that football game and keep the Bengals out of the playoffs by ensuring their spot in there. And I mean, they haven't technically clinched the division, and they lose out. They lose out. They could lose, which I don't think they're going to lose out. But so we'll see. But I think for the Chiefs, they have a lot of questions to answer. They're clearly not the favorites in the AFC anymore, and that's they might. You can make a reasonable argument to me that they're like the 4th best team in the AFC, 5th best team in the AFC right now, which is crazy. That's not how I would bet my money on them for the playoffs, but you could easily make an argument the Ravens, Dolphins, Browns, and Bills are all better than them, and I don't think anyone would question you.
Yeah, no. I mean, right now, like just watching the Chiefs downfall, is it a regression? Mahomes is not having receivers. Is it because Bieniemy is gone? Could be a lot of
I think
things.
I think the enemy has a big play into that, right? Like we were watching Washington and Sam Howell's putting up these big numbers, and then Jacoby Brissett comes in for a few snaps, and Jacoby Brissett looks really good this week. And the piece that Kansas City's missing, like I think people forget, Kansas City was missing these receivers last year. They had Juju Smith, which was the only extra receiver they had, and they replaced Juju with Rashee Rice, who I think Rashee Rice is probably as good as Juju. So really, they have the same receivers, the same tight end, the same running backs. They're missing their offensive coordinator, and I think that's really where it stems from. Now, Travis Kelce has gotten worse at football. He's getting older. He's not in his prime anymore. I think people need to kind of realize that, but I think the Chiefs also just need to get a little bit more serious on offense. The cute stuff is because they're not able to generate offense, and They need to figure out ways to get easy throws, easy points. Their offensive line couldn't block the Raiders this week at all.
Mahomes bought
They're
them
just
all carts for Christmas. That's crazy. He probably took
yeah,
them
I
all
know.
back.
Probably. I mean, that kind of reminded me a little bit of the Chiefs Bucks Super Bowl where Patrick Mahomes was running for his life all game, and I was like, why is he running for like they paid all the reason they don't have great guys at receiver is because they spent the money on Jawan Taylor in the offseason, and him in the offensive line has just not been good.
Mm-hmm.
So going to be interesting next couple games. I still think Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are going to figure it out, but I am losing faith by the day. I think this is a big test for them coming up in Cincinnati. But Raj, we can talk about every single football game on this list, but we of course have to respond to the Eagles, our home team, our team we root for, beating the Giants 33-25. Give us your post game reaction about how we're feeling about the Birds game.
That was I felt like a loss. Like even though we won, we let the Giants be in that game the whole entire time. Like the pick six, Goddard fell. Okay. The Boston was it Zacchaeus
Yeah,
getting
Zacchaeus.
blocked into Boston Scott on the kick return. That probably was the anytime right there.
No, it was Boston Scott running into Zacchaeus.
Yeah. But yeah, then the fumble right there. We gave him more points. There and then Reed Blankenship getting burnt by Darius Slayton and Tyrod Taylor slinging the rock for like a dual play touchdown. Like we let them back into that game, and like I understand, like Darius Slay is not there. It would have been completely different, but like I mean, Keely Ringo looked pretty good too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm actually more encouraged than discouraged about the Eagles' performance this week. I thought the Boston Scott running into our player and fumbling the ball, I think it's just a really fluky play that I wouldn't expect to see. I think Boston Scott is only I don't know why Britton Covey wasn't returning that, but kind of just a fluky play there. Yeah, Bradbury gets burned from time to time. It's a 1 yard, 78 pass, whatever it was.
No, it wasn't Bradbury. It was Reed.
Oh, Reed Blankenship. Missed coverage, but hopefully that would be better when Slay's there. That's kind of just a weird play. And then also like the Dallas Goedert slip, like, yeah, it happens, but I don't think it was a particularly great throw by Hurts either. But like, what are you going to do? The player slipped. So, and it would definitely not have gone for 6 if Dallas didn't fall and it was still intercepted. So, not super discouraged. I feel like I know everything I still know about the Eagles. Their secondary still has an opportunity to get healthy. Linebacker Zach Cunningham can get healthy before the playoffs. Avonte Maddox can get healthy. Slay will be back. I thought Matt Patricia did a good job this game. If you look at actually the points the Giants scored, if it wasn't on the pick six, and if it wasn't on the little goofy running into the person, that was 15 points right there. So the Giants scored 10 points, and then the other 7 was on a bomb pass burned by Reed Blankenship. So I think the defense held up really well that game. The offense did look a little bit better. It's just something doesn't look right with Jalen Hurts playing quarterback, and I don't know what it is, but the offensive line hasn't been as good. Jalen doesn't look as comfortable in his reads. It looks, I don't know, he's just not on target and like timely. It doesn't look like when you watch other quarterbacks, it looks like they're controlling the game, and Jalen Hurts doesn't look right now like he's controlling any type of football game. So I don't really know where to go from there.
Yeah, I mean, only time will tell. I'm gonna be optimistic and hope that Brian Johnson's just hiding the real playbook right now. Hoping
the whole ploy this year was to not reveal the playbook until the playoffs, and then we're just gonna pull out a bunch of Philly special type of moments in the playoffs. That would be great.
Let's hope so.
Or it'll just be all QB draws the whole game.
Touch push every drive. every play.
Yeah, every play is just a tush push. They did it, of course, again multiple times this game. Just can't stop it. Unstoppable play in 3rd-and-1 situations.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I think this is a momentum thing. Like the Eagles really need to stop the bleeding, and so they have a game against the Cardinals. They can win that game. Another game against the Giants. Are going to play all their starters in that game because they could potentially get the 1 seed if the 49ers fumble a little bit, which the 49ers can get disgruntled because they went on that 3-game losing streak earlier this year. Maybe that game folds over into another loss this upcoming week, and then suddenly the Eagles will have the 1 seed again, which it would be a mistake for the league to give the Eagles the 1 seed. I could not imagine a worse situation for the league than for other teams than the Eagles after looking like frauds all year, get a week to get healthy and rested and game plan against a team like the Cowboys at home. Just free path to the NFC Championship game, but I'm not going to put that into the universe. I think the Eagles.
Wait.
I think the Eagles can build some momentum off of this game and hopefully get back into their winning ways. But please, Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson, run the damn ball.
Please.
Oh my God.
It
is
so good.
It is so awful when your entire stadium is chanting run the ball because they're just so confused why you won't run the football. It is like the offense is scared that the defense is just going to get burned. It's like, okay, we have to throw the ball and put up like a bajillion points. It's like, just take the 3-4 yards. You have a great offensive line.
Like, we made Miles Sanders a 1,000-yard rusher. What can we do with DeAndre Swift?
And he looks so good. Like, every time he runs the ball, I don't know what he's averaging this year, but he's averaging a ton of yards per carry.
Yep.
Let's see. Yards per attempt. Jahmyr Gibbs, Justin Fields, Lamar, McCaffrey, Warren, Cook. DeAndre Swift, 13, 4.6 yards per carry. Why are we not running that man?
Why?
Obviously, you need some diversity, but if you just ran the ball every play, theoretically, you'd always get first downs. That's not actually how it works, but 4.6 yards is a very impressive amount of yards per carry, and they're not running the ball.
This team, man, I don't understand.
I'm just, the play calling is just so stark for last year with Steichen that it just really confuses me. But
hopefully we'll figure it out come playoff time and we can be dominant again.
Yep. Go Birds.
Yep.
Rams on Thursday Night Football get a big win over the Saints, 30-22. As I kind of mentioned earlier, that puts them in the driver's seat for the playoffs. 68% chance currently to get into the playoffs. They're going to play the Giants this week, which they're going to win that game. That'll raise their chances to 87% based on NFL. And then the Saints now at a measly 13%. It's the game the Saints had to have. Their hope was to win the division. And the Bucs have been rising a little bit, and the Rams, I thought we all thought the Rams were going to win. We made that prediction, and the Rams were up big. Saints came back late, but Rams get the job done. I think Stafford looks really good, one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league.
Kyron, dog.
Your homie Kyron is back.
I told you on the pod, bet 100 Kyron over 100 yards and anytime touchdown, free money.
Are you doing it against the Giants?
Oh my God, I'm making a mega lay for just Kyron. It's going to be over on rushing, receiving, and 2 touchdowns.
Okay. 2 tutties. Okay. Oh, you got to cook that up and let us know the odds on that.
This is going to be good. It's going to be a good payout.
Just to get again, the game Rams had to have. I think they're a really scary playoff team.
They are.
I really
They're
do.
Sneaky good.
If they hang in that 6th seed and have a matchup with the Lions, I think Puka, Cooper, Stafford, Kyron, and a defense that's playing pretty well right now, I think they really could make some noise. I'm not saying they're gonna make the Super Bowl or anything, but I think if there's a 6th seed to do it, then they have the option to do it. So good for the Rams. As for the Saints, again, just in purgatory. They're not gonna make the playoffs, but they're not gonna get a great pick, and they're still in cap hell. They're gonna fire their head coach. I don't really know who's playing quarterback over there. And just I feel like Derek Carr's been injured 100 different times this year, and I don't know where the Saints are going to go. They have a big game against Tampa Bay. If they lose that game, they're toast. If they win that game, then we're talking about something completely different because then the Bucs and Saints will be tied. So it's the NFC South. We really don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly. Chaos.
Steelers beat the Bengals 34-11 as George Pickens puts on one of the most dominating performances I've seen from a wide receiver in recent times. Puts up 4 catches for 150 yards or something. That's almost 50 yards a catch or whatever he did. I'll pull up his official statistics, but this just felt like a game to me. And Raj, I don't know what you think. This just felt like a game to me where I was like, this is the most Steelers win ever. Back against the wall, 7-7. Mike Tomlin's losing season on the line. The Bengals have to come into Pittsburgh on Saturday, right before Christmas Eve. And They pull it out. Like it feels like that. Mason Rudolph's playing quarterback. Like it is just the most predictable Steelers win you could ever have, and they're still going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's Mike Tomlin. He some black magic. Sold his soul to someone. Probably sold his soul to somebody in Pittsburgh. Who knows? Maybe Tequila Cowboy. Somebody. He sold his soul to somebody. And
Shout out to Killer Cowboy.
yep, yes sir. But I wasn't surprised. Like I'm watching this, I'm like, you know what? I would be sitting here like, oh my god, Mason Rudolph and George Pickens are popping off now. It's the Steelers. They are never fishy below 500, and this is why.
Now they have 2 games left against the Ravens, and then against the against the Seahawks coming up. That Seahawks and Steelers game is wildly important, which we'll get into in a little bit. But they're gonna have to win one of those last 2 games. But I think the Ravens might be clear to, if they beat the Dolphins, they might just be clear to rest everyone in Week 17. Steelers pick up the win. They
Yeah,
finish 9-8. The winning streak continues. So George Pickens ended up
it's
finishing
possible.
for 4 catches, 195 yards after being criticized for not run blocking, which he totally wasn't run blocking for Warren the previous week. But Jake Browning turns into a cupcake, 3 interceptions in this game. Guess what, people? Bad quarterbacks usually aren't that good for that long of a time. There's a reason they're backup quarterbacks, and Jake Browning showed why
Hmm.
this past week. The Bengals are just, again, like, there's so many of these teams in the AFC right now who have winning records who just are in this awkward spot of the playoffs. Like the Bengals are not playing Jamar. They don't have Jamar Chase playing right now. They don't have Joe Burrow playing right now, and they're still in playoff contention, but they're not really, because they need to beat a lot of, like, they need to win against Kansas City. If they don't, they're kind of cooked and everything like that. So, um, big win by the Steelers.
Yeah.
Just a horrible loss by, if you're the Bengals. Like the only thing you need to do is just kind of scrap away a win from a Steelers team that looked a little bit disgruntled, and you lose the game, and now you just get stuck in this 8-7 mosh pit with the Colts, Texans, Steelers in the AFC, and now you're on the outside looking in for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just see how everything plays out. Like, I don't know what the AFC playoff picture is going to look like besides like the first few seeds. So,
Yeah, I
just
mean,
wait
with
and
the
see.
way the Chiefs have been playing, I think that Cincinnati could totally beat the Chiefs, and then
Yeah,
they've got a shot to get in, and the Chiefs look like terrible and whatnot. So imagine a world in which everything went wrong for the Chiefs and they 95% chance to make the playoffs and they miss it.
that'd be crazy. Mahomes would like start blaming the refs for the Bills' loss. He'd be like, it's not our fault. Blah blah blah.
He'd be sounding a lot like Kermit.
Yeah.
Hi,
I'm him. I'm him.
I'm here. I'm here.
Travis, get
Um,
open.
um, Going to this next game, I thought this was going to be a destruction of a game for the Bills, but they ended up only beating the Chargers 24-22. Sometimes all you need to do in the NFL is get a win, so I think it was important that they just came out with the win in that game, a much needed win. Easton Stick looked like a competent quarterback for a lot of that
Yeah,
game, which was,
very
who would have
shocking.
thought? They also did have the new coach effect because Brandon Staley was fired,
Hmm.
so they were rocking interim head coach for the time being. But Easton Stick, 215 yards, you'll take it. I think Josh Allen really, like, he needs to start putting some more like points together. I know they're running the ball a lot with James Cook, but like Josh Allen, 15 of 21, 237, a TD, and an interception. Like, bro, you wanted that MVP award. You gotta start like slinging the rock a little bit more. Telling Joe Brady like, hey, I need to really like get these statistics up. But Chargers are going nowhere. It's really in the Chargers' best interest if they tank. I think they had their first round pick this year, so
Hmm.
like just keep tanking. You might need to draft another damn receiver because Quentin Johnston's so bad. And they are currently, well, the Jets won that really. They have the second worst record in the AFC, and then they're gonna have like a top
5
six
wins.
pick. Yeah, they're gonna have like a
Yeah.
top 6 pick, which is
Yeah.
crazy. So use the pick wisely. The Chargers keep losing these football games. Um, I don't really have much more to say about that game.
Yeah, I mean,
Do you?
nothing else to say. It's like the most Bills win ever. Like we see their high ceiling and then we see their low floor drop like right there.
Yep, and that's gonna define this football team. Like they might be in contention to win the division against the Dolphins in 2 weeks, and we're going to see the 4 game from them, and they're going to
Yep.
lose by 50, and they're going to miss the playoffs. Like there's a really real possibility that happens, and
Mm-hmm.
it's the Bills, but there's also a chance they destroy Miami because they're above a 500 football team, and then we're like, oh, the Bills going to the playoffs. Like the Bills sneakily, it could be a Ravens Bills. Could that even happen?
Um.
Yeah, if they get the
Yeah.
second seed or third seed, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If we get a Bills Ravens Super Bowl, I think that would be pretty fun. By the way,
Sorry.
it's perfect.
Bills Ravens Super Bowl.
Sorry, Bills Ravens AFC Championship.
Okay.
Um, did you see the Super Bowl conspiracy about the
Yes.
colors?
Yes, I saw that. So the NFL had to remake the logo.
Do you think there's any truth to it? Do you think? Okay, actually, I'll explain it first. So, if anyone doesn't know the Super Bowl color logo, every year they make Super Bowl, like Super Bowl 55, Super Bowl 56 logos with colors on them. In the last 2 years, there's been a blend of colors, like a gradient. And this last year, it was green and red for the Chiefs Eagles, but that was before the Super Bowl happened. And the year before that, it was orange and yellow for the Bengals and Rams Super Bowl. And this year, it was purple and red, and we think it was for the Ravens 49ers Super Bowl. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but if there was a conspiracy theory I believed in, it would be that one. I don't know, Raj, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the NFL has to be scripted, dude. This just everything that's been going on. They got to be scripted. Like,
We'll get
imagine.
into it in a minute. The fact that Joe Flacco is playing competent quarterback at this point is reason enough to believe the NFL is scripted.
Exactly. Like, what is going on?
But yeah, that was a side note. But Bills, because of the Super Bowl color issue, the Bills aren't going to make the Super Bowl.
Yep.
But a team that looks like they could make a run is the Lions. They played a really fun and exciting game against the Vikings this week.
Mm-hmm.
Ends up 30-24. The Lions make the playoffs for the first time in like 30 years.
Yep. Congrats
Which is
to the Detroit Lions for finally doing something that the Philadelphia Eagles have done, I think, 15 times in my lifetime already.
mhm.
Congratulations,
um,
guys.
yeah, good for them. That took a lot to get to that point. A lot of mistakes by the Vikings, but they did pull it out. I was hoping the Vikings were going to be able to get this win because it would have made their Week 17 matchup a lot more interesting for the playoff standings. But Lions have an opportunity here to keep fighting for that 1 seed. It'll be interesting. They'll be hosting a playoff game. Of course, Ford Stadium will be loud. The biggest thing will be how many dome games does Jared Goff get to play. It's kind of a joke, kind of not a joke. Jared Goff way better in a dome than outside arena. So if he has to go into Lincoln Financial in January, but if he gets to play at home in Ford Field for a little bit, that'll be really good.
Yeah, I mean, overall, solid win. A lot of mistakes there, but the Lions have a high ceiling, low floor.
Yeah,
They're-
they find. Go
they
ahead.
find ways to lose.
Yeah, they always do. They had that really bad stretch where they didn't look good, but they got a big game against the Cowboys coming up. I think that'll be a telltale sign for them where they stand. I don't expect them to win the game, but like, hey, can you compete? Can you compete well or whatnot? But I mean, you think you're taking the Lions there for the Monday Night
Taking the
Football?
Lions.
Well,
last 8 weeks,
only because
underdog.
okay, is it only because of the Monday Night Football curse, or do you actually believe the Lions are going to win that football game?
Oh, only because of the Monday Night Football curse. It's the Monday Night
Okay.
Football curse versus the Cowboys at home. So we'll see.
It's like the wax and gibbous.
Exactly.
Yeah, we have too much evidence. Nick Mullins, 4 interceptions. Just this is what not getting your quarterback situation looks like. Kirk Cousins goes down with an ACL injury, so you trade for Josh Dobbs, who you proceeded to bench, and then you have Nick Mullins, who he looks like he can run the offense better than Dobbs can, which I would expect. He's been there all year, in that being Nick Mullins, but turning the ball over 4 times, you can't win football games that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've talked about it multiple times, but the quarterback right now play in the league has just been so bad that you're costing games. This is the same situation like Brock Purdy throws 4 interceptions against the Ravens. They lose the game because you turn the ball over too much, and this is a game where the Vikings could have had it, but you just constantly turn the ball over. Justin Jefferson is him. We all knew that. I don't know. That we had a lot of debate in the boys group chat this past weekend about who's better, Justin Jefferson or Tyreek Hill. I'll take Justin Jefferson 10 out of 10 any day of the week. I don't know about Raj, but
I take Jay Jettis. He's just a better overall.
yep. And then the last thing is that finally, the Lions are using Jahmyr Gibbs,
I know.
much to the happiness of every single fantasy owner in the league right now. It took a long time, but we finally got him going there. And then betting man himself, Jameson Williams, is getting the ball a little bit. So Lions look a little bit scary with their weapons. I'll be excited to see what they kind of do this weekend against the Cowboys, which will be a really, really fun game.
Mm-hmm.
On to the next game, we've got the Browns beating the Texans 36-22, and Joe Flacco picks up, I think it's his third straight win with this football team. He's thrown a lot of interceptions, which is slightly concerning, and feel like we'll catch up to them. But for the time being, he's slinging the rock. He's got 300 yards in 3 straight games. Just another big-time Browns win. They're probably going to be the 5 seed, which they'll have to play on the road, but I think in a 4-seed matchup against a team from the AFC South, they could easily win that. It's the Browns. And Amari Cooper, big shout out to Amari Cooper. I feel like people kind of forgot about him after he kind of left Dallas and has a huge game. That's one of the more impressive wide receiver performances I've seen in a while.
Yeah, no, that game was just watching him rack up those fantasy points. I'm like, what is happening? And I'm just seeing Joe Flacco slinging the rock at like what 40 something. Like that's crazy. And it's just like, I mean, the Browns, like, I think Joe, like, yeah, Massage Watson and all, but like, I think Flacco's been playing better than Massage Watson has all season.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem with Joe Flacco, I just said the interceptions, is he's got to stop turning the ball over. He had 3 interceptions one game, 2 interceptions this game. Like, he's got to find a way to make that one interception because eventually it's going to catch up with the team when you're playing good opponents. Like, if you're playing the Chiefs and you can't move the ball in that defense enough, you can't be giving them the ball back. That being said, it's working right now. He had 368 this week. Amari Cooper, 11 receptions, 265 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Just a dominating performance. And for the poor Houston Texans, falling from the sky, CJ Stroud out for 2 games, and it just collapsed. I mean, this looked like a team that was going to potentially win the division for sure, make the playoffs, and it's not been pretty. I know we talked about them picking up that really big win last week against the Titans, 19-16. But lose to the Jets, lose a close one off a doink to the Jaguars, and just it's been a very slow downfall. This is kind of what we expected from the Texans to start the year. Not as good of a football team. They kind of played above their heads. So unfortunately, I think we will have to miss out on seeing CJ Stroud in the playoffs, which I think would have been a great experience for him and great experience for that football team. But they're looking bleak here with let's check it, a 38% chance to make the playoffs. They're going to need a lot of help from the Colts losing and whatnot, but
we'll
very
see.
sad. And they're plagued by wide receiver injuries, Nico Collins and Tank Dell, and it's really all falling apart this last season.
Mm-hmm.
One of the shocks of the weekend for me was the Colts losing to the Falcons 10-29. That's just a game that cannot happen.
Arthur
if you're the
Smith
Colts,
finally learned how to use Bijan Robinson.
Who would have thought to run the
crazy.
football? What a crazy thought. This was a game that I felt like was great for the Colts, right? You're playing not a great team. You're playing them on the road, but you're not playing a great team. You can really like put yourself in at 9-6. Really secure up your playoff standing, and you get kind of embarrassed. Taylor Heineke is the quarterback. Kind of just Bijan Robinson show, and just there's no other way to get around it. Just a really bad loss for a team that was fighting and scrapping for the playoffs at that point. Now they're kind of stuck in no man's land, like 52% chance to make the playoffs. Huge game against the Raiders coming up. I don't really have much more to say about the game, but just that loss hurts them a lot.
Yeah, no, that was not a good loss. Or that was a bad loss. Like I was watching it and I'm like, what is going on with the Colts? Like, how are you letting Bijan do? Like, I know Bijan's good, but how are you letting Arthur Smith, who calls the dumbest plays, do all this to you?
Yeah, Arthur Smith's got to go.
Yeah, he's gone after this season. Bye.
Yeah. Which is crazy. They can still win the division, which is wild.
I know. Well, that's just how bad the NFC South is.
Yep. Speaking of the NFC South, Buccaneers pick up a big win against the Jaguars. The Jaguars are just cooked.
Yeah, Jags cooked.
they're cooked. They might not even make the playoffs at this rate. I don't know what their percentages say. 67% chance. They got Carolina. Oh, we got Carolina coming up. That's why. Um,
Oh,
but
never mind.
so they'll probably win that game. But yeah, they're in a dogfight with the Colts and Texans right now. The Jags have just fallen off. Like they've had some bad games showings, and Baker Mayfield and the Bucks hanging in there.
Yeah, no, that team's looking good. I mean, Baker's been slinging the rock, and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are, back to their 1-2 duo. Rashad White's looking like a true RB1 right now, so it's gonna be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence 2 interceptions. Baker Mayfield another great game. Just not making many mistakes out there, and I think that's what's really keeping him alive right now. They have a good receiving core. They have Rashad White at running back, so the Bucks are. I think again they're a scary place for a team like Dallas to have to go play in the first round if they make the playoffs because they have been playing mistake free, solid football, and the Cowboys can't play on the road. So imagine a world in which like you had the Bucks Cowboys rematch from a few years ago when Tom Brady was there, but this time it's Baker Mayfield just eliminating Dak Prescott and sending the
No.
Cowboys back into
Oh
purgatory.
my God, that'd be amazing.
Could you imagine anything better?
That'd be amazing. I'd love to see it.
I wonder if I could bet money on the matchup happening right this far out and betting on the
I
Cowboys
don't know if
downfall.
that's possible. I don't think they have props for that yet.
Okay, it would be January 14th or January 13th. We could be watching the Cowboys downfall, and it would be glorious.
Yes, it's always glorious to watch their downfall.
Well, of course, yeah. Like screw the Cowboys. And then we got some games that sucked. That would be the Patriots beating the Broncos. The only thing relevant from that game was how hard the one field goal kicker drilled the goalpost
That was crazy.
microphone.
That felt like a bomb.
Yeah, that was crazy. That's the most notable thing from the game. I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to say about that game.
Broncos gonna Bronco.
Yep. The ride, not good.
Yep.
Bears beat the Cardinals 27-16.
Whatever. Cool.
Yep. Justin Fields controversy about the pick still hanging out, but who knows?
Oh, well.
Packers beat the Panthers 33-30. And Raj and I were just talking about this before the podcast, but do we all remember that it was 2 weeks where we thought the Packers were them? They're not.
Yep, they're terrible. And they also almost let Bryce Young and that terrible, terrible Panthers team come back on them. They were this close to losing that game.
Yeah, I will say I'm very happy for Bryce Young that he's been getting this little bit of, I mean, it's not great, but this slightly better run at the end of the year. He has 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, 22 of 36. And the game before that, I know he was able to put a few good things together. I am happy that he's playing better because it was so bad.
It was bad. It
before
just hurt to watch that Panthers offense. Miles Sanders is probably gonna get executed.
Yeah, he was not great he did enough to win that last game. So I think winning a game, playing good this week, I think it's a little bit better for Bryce Young going into next season. They have the Jags and the Bucks coming up, so I don't think they'll win any of those games, but they have no incentive to lose because they don't have their pick. So go out there, try to play spoiler. Imagine if the Panthers beat the Jags this upcoming week and then ruin their shot.
Honestly, it's with the NFL script right now, it's a possibility.
Oh, 1,000% possible. And then finally, the Jets barely outlived the Commanders, 30-28. Jacoby Brissett comes in the game. Sam Howell kind of benched, and then the comeback almost happens, but the Jets pull it out. Why do the Jets win this game?
Just tank, dude. You need the picks. You need that pick so you can trade it for Devontae Adams because Rodgers wants him, and Rodgers gets whatever he wants.
I just don't know why the Commanders tried so hard to come back. I don't understand why the Jets tried so hard to win this game. Please just do the smart thing. The Jets just made themselves for folks who are not aware, this makes the Jets draft situation almost 100 times worse.
Yep.
The Jets before this were 5-9. If they were 5-10, they would be tied with some of the worst teams in the league. We'll pull up the standings real quick. Just so they don't mess anything up. All right. So if you look at the standings, this would have been Why is the list like this? Okay. The Jets at 5-10, and the Commanders would have won, so we had the same record as the Commanders, would have been tied in that like kind of messy 5-9 type of range. Now the Jets are currently in the 8th spot, tied with the Bears, and easily with one more win could enter the 7-9 category with some other football teams. So they are like completely throwing away their picks spots here. And then for the Commanders, they almost won this game. That would have been horrible because then they would have been in the 5. Right now, they hold the 3rd pick in the draft, which if you're the Commanders, if you haven't been watching Commanders football, which I would not blame you if you haven't been watching Commanders football, like they can't protect the quarterback at all.
No, Sam
Like they
Howell
have
has
no
not this
offense.
season.
Yeah. So like you need to have a top pick so you can draft like I think one of Caleb Williams and Drake May will go early, but then you have Joe Alt from Notre Dame and you have the Penn State kid playing tackle, like 2 really good offensive linemen. Like if you have 3, you're in a good position to draft them. But like the Commanders almost winning this game is like a catastrophe. Like they almost completely cost themselves of an offensive lineman they desperately need on that team. So
Exactly. I don't know. It was the Tank Bowl, and both teams were trying their best to win.
it's just crazy when the Commanders were up down by that much. The fact that they almost came in and like won the game was like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like at the first, I was like, "Oh, looks like the Jets are trying to tank this game right now." Oh no, what are the Commanders doing? Are they realizing they should have tanked? And I'm just going back and forth. I'm like, this is a terrible game.
also they gave Brees Hall a ton of work this game. I would not play Brees Hall anymore this season.
Yeah, no,
He
rest
just
him.
came off. He just came off a bad injury from last year. He's coming in his 2nd year of the league. Like, I would just make sure he doesn't get injured these last couple weeks. Have him come in healthy next season and be their lead running back. I don't like the idea of him being out there and playing that aggressive football. Fortunately, they're playing the Browns next week, so they'll probably lose that. And for the Commanders, they're playing San Francisco, which they're going to get steamrolled.
Probably,
Unless Jacoby Brissett plays all game.
unless Brock Purdy has regressed and we're finally seeing his true form as Mr. Irrelevant.
It would be so great for the Ham Sowell fan club if
Oh my God, yes.
if Ham Sowell walks into San Francisco wherever they're playing and just beats them straight up. It would be horrible for their draft status, but a classic Ham Sowell moment.
Exactly. And you know what? Maybe I will enjoy watching the 49ers downfall again.
So it's always glorious. But that, folks, is the slate of NFL games from this week. Now, what we're gonna look at is some key matchups coming up and give you our breakdown of that game and who we think is gonna win. So Raj, we're gonna do some rapid fire here. Bears Packers. We'll go quickly on the games that don't matter. Oh, that's week 18. My bad. Jets Browns. Who you going with?
Browns.
Browns. Pick that up. Lions Cowboys.
Lions.
Okay. I think I'm going to take the Cowboys in that game at home. I like the spot there, and I feel like the Lions could be playing a little bit kind of like, oh, we're so happy we made the playoffs, and the Cowboys just punch them in the mouth. Texans and Titans play again, even though they played 2 weeks ago.
If Stroud's playing, Texans. If Stroud isn't playing, Texans.
I think the Titans win if Stroud doesn't play. But he's practicing this week, so I think Stroud plays, and they're going to win a game they really need to win.
I think the Texans are going to win no matter who's under center. Davis Mills didn't look too bad in that comeback either.
Yeah, but they got killed by the Browns.
Well, yeah, that was because you had Case Keenum.
No, they were playing Mills.
No, they weren't. The Case Keenum started that game.
Oh, he started the game.
Case Keenum started the game,
okay.
got hurt, and they put in Davis Mills.
Oh, I see. I don't know why Mills is stopped. Oh, well, he threw 32 attempts. I see. Oh, Case Keenum had 2 interceptions.
Yeah, that's why.
Tough look.
Yep.
Transparently, I didn't watch much of that game. I just know that Joe Flacco's him. All right, back to the schedule. In the mediocre bowl, we have the Falcons Bears. Bears don't win the football game. It's not good for you.
I think the Falcons will win it.
Okay, I think I'm gonna take the Bears in that game. Dolphins Ravens, and I'm actually shocked this game was stuck in the 1 o'clock slate. It felt like this would have been a good game to flex into a later time zone, but
who knows? Ravens.
Ravens. I'm gonna say it. I think the Dolphins play spoiler, go into Baltimore, and rock their world a little bit. That could age horribly, but to add a little chaos to the NFL season here. Saints Bucks. I'll take the Bucks.
I'm taking the Bucks too.
Yeah, but it's the NFC South. Like what?
You're right. Oh
And
God.
it would be the most NFC South thing possible to be like, okay, guys, everyone, calm down. The Bucks are gonna win the NFC South, and then the Saints just come in week 17, evens the floor. And now we're going into a must-win situation in week 18. Like that's the most NFC South thing ever.
Yep.
But I'm taking the Bucks and Baker Mayfield. Patriots, Bills. I'll take the Bills.
Bills.
It does feel like a sneaky Bill Belichick spot though.
I mean, yeah.
To like to disrupt the Bills season. Cardinals, Eagles. If the Eagles lose this football game, I am not coming back on this podcast. It will be disbanded.
I'll ride you with that.
Yeah, this podcast will no longer. It'll just be a Peter only podcast, and folks who are watching this episode who don't even know who Peter is will be like, "I'm really confused." Yep, because they're not losing that game. Jags, Panthers. I'll take the Jags, but I don't feel great about it. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Nothing right now.
Like I'll take the Jags too, but like it could be a sneaky Bryce Young masterclass. Who knows?
I just I don't. Nothing feels comfortable. The Jags are only 6.5-point favorites in that game at home, which is like that's really concerning. Like to be 6.5-point, like that's telling you that the game is actually 3 on neutral territory, which is being 3-point favorites to the Carolina Panthers. That's not good. Nope. By the way, the Eagles are 10.5-point favorites.
Yeah,
because Arizona. Yep. Colts Raiders. That game is so important, like for standings, because the Raiders are not out of it yet. And you got something cooking up over here.
I think I'm gonna take the Raiders with this one. I think Devontae might have a vintage moment.
Okay, I'm taking Shane Steichen masterclass. Colts by 9 points. Okay. Rams, Giants. Rams win.
Rams, yeah. Kyron's gonna have 100 yards, probably 50 yards receiving.
100 yards, 2. Okay, that's gotta put that parlay out there. 49ers, Commanders. As much as I would like Ham Sowell to put on a masterclass in this game, the 49ers are gonna win.
Niners by like 5 scores.
They're gonna be so mad after last week.
Yeah,
and steamroll them. I think by far the biggest game this upcoming weekend is the Steelers-Seahawks game. It has many implications for the playoff standings. We got the Steelers. If they win this game, they have a 32% chance to make the playoffs, which is not a great shot, but still an outside chance. The Seahawks, if they lose, 40% chance. If they win, 87% chance. So really could like make or break the Seahawks season right here.
I think what's going to happen is
I'm taking the Steelers.
I think what's going to happen is George Pickens is going to go out onto the field and fight DK Metcalf.
Oh, like pregame or like during game?
Both.
Okay. And they're going to get all disgruntled and then like it'll be over.
Yep.
Great take as usual, Raj.
Yes, sir.
Chiefs, Bengals.
I'm going to take the Bengals.
You're going to take the Bengals? I was going to say like the Bengals, I feel like I want to take them, but I'm going to hold off and say the Chiefs get the win, but this would not shock me if this game ended up being a Bengals win. The Chiefs just do not look good playing football right now. But I think the Jake Browning 3 interceptions last game, I think he'll have a much harder time against that Chiefs defense.
Yeah, we'll see.
Chargers, Broncos. Jarrett Stidham masterclass.
It's gonna be the
at home
because last season Jarrett Stidham went in after Derek Carr like just left. Jarrett Stidham put on an absolute masterclass. So I'm taking the Broncos. Jarrett Stidham's gonna go 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 20 rushing yards.
Damn, get that on a parlay. Broncos by 14. Packers, Vikings. The Packers are going to make us believe that they're them again. They're going to go in and beat the Vikings. They're going to play spoiler to the Vikings and drop them to 7-9. The Packers are going to rise to 8-8, and we're all going to be like, guys, the Packers have a chance to make the playoffs again. They have an opportunity with Jordan Love, and then they're going to lose in Week 18, and then we're all going to be like, we knew we should never believe in the Packers. So Packers are going to win that game.
Yep.
Raj, that's all. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, if the Eagles lose and we don't get the 2 seed, I don't know what I'm gonna do actually. Maybe Maybe it's time I go to Philly and give Brian Johnson a little talk. Show him some
Yeah.
brotherly love.
We can go out in front of the stadium and like hold signs up.
Fire Brian Johnson.
Get Nick Sirianni would at least talk about us.
That's true.
A lot of
Look,
good,
there's these
lot of
two
good
college
airtime.
Students holding a Fire Brian Johnson sign outside. They also support
I mean,
the podcast.
Well, we can put a little logo.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Great,
one way to
great
get
plan.
clicks.
Well, folks, if you made it this far in the episode, we thank you all for listening all the way. Of course, it helps the podcast out a lot to have good audience retention rates. Please make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you made it this far. We really appreciate you listening. And we will see you next time on the Coconut Curry Podcast.
Gilbert.